All right, this is Adrian back again with another session of the Auteur series. This time we're going to go with Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone. For anyone who knows who Oliver Stone is, he is a director who's tackled politics, and more politics. But we're going to have a little bit of a departure and try to explore what makes this guy such an auteur. And we're going to dabble that by looking at different genres that he's worked in. So we're going to start with his paramount success, JFK, which is obviously a story about the John F. Kennedy assassination. This particular film is significant because of its mixed use of different kinds of media and editing. And on top of that, just the trial and the courtroom scenes and Kevin Costner and Jack Ruby and Gary Oldman. It has so many actors that are just prominent all in one movie. It's a long movie. It's about a 3-hour movie. So screening it would probably take the entirety of the 3-hour class. But it is a classic. It is just something that cannot be overlooked in a career where politics is crucial. Not to mention not the only president has been assassinated, because Lincoln was assassinated, but modern day presidents and politics. So my first pick for Oliver Stone would be JFK. And then I would go with U-Turn, which is a small sort of crime caper type film with Jennifer Lopez, Sean Penn, Nick Nolte. It's set in Arizona. So it's just basically a story about a guy who owes money to the Russians, and he goes to collect it, and then he loses it, and then he's got to figure out how to pay it and get out of Dodge. But I think it's a great departure from Oliver Stone's politics and the films that are just so overtly political, to see him just do something small and very modern and contemporary. So that is going to be my second pick for Oliver Stone. And then my next pick would be Any Given Sunday. I think to have a director do something political like JFK and then go on to do a crime caper like U-Turn, and then do Any Given Sunday, which is a sports movie with Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, LL Cool J, and a few other notable football stars, just goes to show you the amount of range that Oliver Stone is never really recognized for, in addition to all his documentaries. So yeah, so those are going to be the 3 picks that I would pick to just cover in the auteur course for Oliver Stone. And then our next director is one of my favorites, and one of his movies has been made a sequel of, and that is Tony Scott. Tony Scott, the brother of Ridley Scott, who is going to be featured right after I cover Tony. So Tony Scott's been no more of an action genre filmmaker. But he made a film called The Fan, starring Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, I believe in 1997. And one of these movies actually has Benicio del Toro in a small role, along with Ellen Barkin and John Leguizamo. And the thing about this particular film is that it's so underrated, and yet so Taxi Driver-esque in tone, which is actually ironic because, well, Robert De Niro did play Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. I'm just figuring that out right now. But I think the performance is just so deep that to watch Robert De Niro in a movie that's slightly glossy and that has sports and deals with parenthood is, I think, for me, one of Tony Scott's achievements, because he's been so known for like big budget films. So The Fan, starring Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, is going to be my first pick for Tony Scott. And then my next pick is going to be Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington and don't tell me what's his name. It'll come to me. But it's a submarine movie with his name's coming to me. Come on, give me his name. Gene Hackman. So Gene Hackman, Denzel Washington, a submarine movie that has to do with the Cold War, with Russian missiles. And the thing I like about this movie is just because it's contained within a within a submarine, there's not as much exteriors, and everything's confined, and you can feel the tension, and there's a mutiny. And the performances and the way that Denzel Washington plays off of Gene Hackman are just two heavyweights in a way that's like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in Heat, only in a submarine and only in a submarine. So that to me is a much more classic Tony Scott film in terms of action underneath the water. And then I'll go for the one that's been made into a sequel, and that is Top Gun. So Top Gun with Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, and a few other notable performances is something that you just can't leave out of a Tony Scott auteur filmography. I think the flight sequences, the opening scene with the montage, just the entire film was just one of those films that has set the precedent for flying action movies and inspired the likes of Michael Bay. So that'll be my third for Tony Scott. So The Fan, Crimson Tide, and Top Gun. And then my next filmmaker is his brother, Ridley. So Ridley is known for Gladiator, which I'm not going to cover. But he's done other small movies that I really like, and one of them is White Squall. And White Squall is a movie that was made in the 1990s, maybe 1996, and it's about a bunch of kids who have to go out and sail to become men. But the thing I like about it is that it actually was shot on water. When you look at it, you don't think it was shot on location. It was shot in a studio. And even though it just comes with the telling coming-of-age type narratives that we're so familiar with, I just think that the setting of it and the overall frame and the lighting, the natural lighting of the scene, doesn't feel like a Ridley Scott movie the way that we think of him with Blade Runner. And so I think that's just a direct sort of it underlines what an auteur is to have a signature even in a genre that he's not known for. So White Squall is going to be my first pick for Ridley. And then the next one is also going to be another small one called Matchstick Men with Sam Rockwell and Nicolas Cage. And this one I like just because it features a performance by the female lead, who I've forgotten her name, but I will insert it. And it's just this sort of it's just a movie that surprises you all the way to the end. You know, you don't think it is what it is, but it turns out to be something else. But it's so, the story behind it, I think, is what I liked, you know. So that's going to be definitely when I'm going to screen Matchstick Men. And so the last one for Ridley is going to be Body of Lies with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that I could have gone for Gladiator, but I think that Gladiator being just so well known and so well covered, I thought I'd go with something a little less known like Body of Lies, which deals with the politics in Iran. And so Leonardo DiCaprio plays an agent who's out in the field who's trying to get out, and he somehow gets mixed up in a deal that he's trying to make with, say, Russell Crowe, who's in, you know, the safety of the FBI calling in. And I like this juxtaposition between the guy in the field and then the guy in the ivory tower giving commands and intelligence. The performances by Russell Crowe are just incredible, just as he was in Gladiator. But I like that the subject matter and the politics of it were a little more closer to the ground. And considering that we're in a world right now where the politics of war are escalating, I think it's nice to examine films that deal with cultural differences and how those cultural differences come to war, and war being the true enemy itself. So those are going to be my auteur picks. That is Oliver Stone, Tony Scott, and Ridley Scott. Look forward to meeting you guys and catching up on the next series of the Auteur series. My name's Adrian Mukasa, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys. Take care. Bye.